everyone, good evening. It's Charlene Francois here, and I'm the media correspondent for ACYO, the African Caribbean Youth Organization. Today we have an amazing interview lined up for you. This gentleman spent 31 years imprisoned in Los Angeles, okay? He was actually done for murder and armed robbery. So, guys, I'm now about to introduce to you Mr. Andre Edmund.
How you doing, Andre? I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming, Andre. So, we have read your story, very profound story. I'd like you to please introduce yourself, if you can, please, and just let us know. Have you always lived in London or America? How did you end up in Los Angeles?
My parents came from Trinidad during the first generation Windrush. So I was just born here. I was born in East London, Forest Gate. So in 1975, that's when we migrated to California. So I grew up in between California and Trinidad.
Okay.
So I didn't spend any time here other than my, 3 years.
Okay. And so how did you end up in Los Angeles then?
My mother, she did her nursing here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She became a nurse here. So she had a job already waiting for a hospital in Los Angeles.
I see. Sorry, I do apologize. Okay. All right. And so how much of your time did you spend there?
From 1979 till about 2.5 years ago.
2.5. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And just tell us a bit more, about your background. So your mum was in nursing.
My mother was in nursing. Mm-hmm. My father was a steel pan, where steel pan originated from in Levanter.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he was a steel pan man. Came here, he became a barber here, hairdresser. So they both had their independent careers, mm-hmm. right? So when we went to America, my father owned his own business, his own barbershop, and mm-hmm. my mother pursued her nursing career. I see.
So have you got lots of any siblings?
One sister, Michelle. Yeah, she's in Florida right now.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. And tell us, what do you do in terms of your creativity? Because I know you've got your Instagram page. Mm-hmm. I do see a lot of music on there and like events as well. So are you involved in that?
Well, I'm currently a DJ. I'm a professional DJ. Been doing that since came out of my mother's womb, mm-hmm. right? Coming from a musical family. So I've always been around DJing, bands, music. So it's just something that's natural to me.
Yeah.
So right now I DJ, promote events, mm-hmm. things like that.
Nice. Okay, so please, Andre, if we can speak about, if you don't mind, mm-hmm. your experience, because, I know obviously for many people, in prison is not a nice place, and it's 31 years that you spent there. So if you don't mind just, explaining to us the experience, your feelings, and, just your whole experience there.
Let's take it back.
What happened, yeah.
Let's talk about the prison aspect, because I did spend a considerable amount of time in incarceration. Mm-hmm. Leading up to it, I was in the military. I always had aspirations to be a police officer, but the streets, I was more gravitated towards the streets, mm-hmm. towards finding my belonging in America, coming from a traditional background, traditional Caribbean background with the strictness and things like that. So immediately, my gangs wasn't my thing, right? It was more, I'm looking outside and I see kids doing what my parents prevented me from doing. Mm-hmm. And when you're young, you just think they're strict and things like that. But I could look back in hindsight now and say that they probably gave me the best advice as far as, don't bring people in the house, know who your friends are, mm-hmm. and things like that. But leading up to prison, which happened in 1992, it was a result of not being able to handle trauma well, making bad decisions repeatedly.
How old was you when you went to prison?
20.
20, okay, yes.
Yes. So it wasn't like I was a good person, because a lot of people ask me, was it justified? I think the gentleman I was speaking to earlier, he said, was it injustice? I said, no. I actually committed a crime. I actually killed a person. And while I was in prison, these are the things that, a person, if they choose to rehabilitate themselves or not have to accept, so within the duration of 31 years, I came to accept a lot of things I didn't like about myself, a lot of things I didn't like about the way I was raised, and things like that. But I had to as a result of accepting all these things, as I was sharing with the gentleman, my original sentence was life without the possibility of parole. You know, so that means in America, you're going to die in prison. You don't have a chance in any of the laws that come out which might give another offender relief. You know, so my motivation for change, my motivation for correction was different. It wasn't to get out. It wasn't to get out of prison. It wasn't to get any type of notoriety, because the sentence I had eliminated me from that.
Yeah.
You know.
And would you say that the people that you'd be around that had a negative impact on you in terms of your friends, were they pretty much doing the same thing? Obviously, you said you was on the streets a lot. So did you have any friends who wanted to be on the streets as well? And
was you in a gang? Was you in gangs? What gangs were you in?
Gangs?
Gang or
This
gang?
one gang, Crip.
Just one gang.
Yeah, I was a Crip. I was from schoolyard Crip.
Okay, I was going to say which part?
West Los Angeles.
West Los Angeles.
Yeah. But to answer your question, at that age, which was probably around 10, that group, nobody wanted to be in a gang. Because it's different, you know, you're outside playing with your friends, because I lived inside the neighborhood. So what the young adults were doing, the teenagers weren't.
okay.
And with the people in the 10 to 15 age, we weren't doing the same things. We were riding skateboards, dancing, and things like that. But the area in which we lived in was highly infected with gangs. So not everybody wanted to be in a gang. Everybody was playing sports.
Yes.
A good percentage of people came from two-parent homes. So we were in sports, we were doing other things. So adorning the gang persona was more just wanting to fit in with the people who were in the neighborhood. But nobody really, probably 10% of the people were already gang members during that time. I'm talking about like 1980, 1981, 1982.
Wow. It's young, isn't it? So, yeah, obviously we've spoken about, your influences around you. Would you say that obviously the people that you hang around with has a major effect on the person that you become?
Yes, good and bad.
Good and bad, yeah.
Yeah, good and bad, because at the age I was, say 10, it didn't matter if it was good or bad, as long as I got some type of reward or acknowledgement, it didn't really matter. You know, it didn't matter if I was coming home stealing from my parents, as long as I appeared to be seen different in the eyes of my peers, that's the only thing that mattered. So the influence, it went either way, because I did have people in my life that was like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. Because the majority of my family are professionals.
Yeah.
Nurses, architects. So it wasn't something that I had to do.
There's more choice, obviously.
Yes.
More choice, yeah. Do you have any questions, Annie, that you'd like to ask?
I was going to ask, what led up to you? I mean, well, first of all, how long was you with your gang for? How long were you guys rolling out for? Was you out regular, or, did you know them for years, or?
Lifestyle.
It's just lifestyle.
Because we're talking about from 1980 up until 1992.
Quite some time. So
Yeah.
there were school friends and stuff like that?
School friends, neighbors, right in that vicinity in which we live. You could be, your neighbor could be not a gang member, but their uncle might be,
Yeah.
or their father might be. So it really is not a distinction between when and how we join gangs. It's usually the neighborhood that we're in, if you live in the neighborhood. Because you have some people who had to travel on a bus or to go to that particular neighborhood in which they were a gang member of. I didn't. All I do was open the door and step outside.
Just in part of the gang.
Yeah.
So what were the circumstances that led up to you going into prison? What happened? What was the situation? Did you have a beef with a person, a gang, or was it somebody just?
None of the above. It was a selfish choice to go rob someone in my neighborhood to deal with the addiction that I had, to deal with the trauma that I couldn't face head up at the time, which was losing my third child. So it wasn't a matter of me needing money. It was a matter of me being pressured into the situation. I just took advantage of, okay, this is my neighborhood. I do anything subconsciously, because a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people, being a gang member is a lifestyle. So with that becomes a certain mentality. This is my neighborhood. you're going to do what I say, that type of. So it wasn't a matter of me needing money. It was a matter of me being pressured into the situation. I just took advantage of, okay, this is my neighborhood. You know, I do anything subconsciously because a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people, being a gang member is a lifestyle. So with that becomes a certain mentality. This is my neighborhood. You're going to do what I say, that type of. So it was one of those because I could have easily stayed in the house. I could have easily asked, you know, for help. I could have easily did any of that. But I made the choice to be like, okay, this is my neighborhood. On that particular day, everybody was getting what they call Social Security checks. So it was an opportunity in a bad time that I took. You know, and the consequences was I killed an innocent person. There was a store on it, around the corner from my house.
So where you spent 31 years in prison, and normally, like, from what I understand, or what you was just saying, that you spend a lot of time and you could end up dying in prison, how come you came out early? What was it? Was it because good behavior? Was it? Good
behavior. A lot of the programs and initiatives that I took while I was inside, becoming married, there were demonstrative changes that prior to didn't affect me, like I said earlier. But at the time, the governor, he was leaving office for the second time. So they have it in their authority, they call it a commutation of sentence, which anybody could apply for. Usually it's people either on death row, who have a similar sentence to mine, life without the possibility of parole, or any other prolonged sentence to where a court is not going to give you relief. The governor is the only person, so I submitted an application, you know, at the behest of a friend, because of the education, because of the degrees I acquired, and they approved it.
So how long is life? So obviously you spent 31 years there in the prison, is that correct?
Yes.
So how long is life? How long was you supposed to have spent there?
Till I die.
Okay. Literally, life is life, yeah.
Right.
Not over here, it's not like.
Yeah, it's different here. What's it? It's different, yeah.
I think it's like 7 years because in America you can get like, say, 5 to life, 15 to life, 30 to life. Long there's a number in front of it, you either have to do the minimum. The max is life, but often you wouldn't do it. But the sentence that I had, life without the possibility of parole, you're just there till you die.
And have you since? And if you like us to not speak about certain things, you can obviously just let us know, because I know it's not an easy subject to speak about. Have you spoken to the victim's family, you know, recently or even after when it happened? You know, how did that go if you did?
No, because he came from Hong Kong. You know, when people migrate similar to our families, he was earning a wage to take care of his family back in his homeland. So being able to speak to them to make amends or whatnot, no, I never got that chance.
Well, you never know, maybe, you know, anything can happen in the future.
True.
So, you know, people must, you know, what people like, you must get comments, people must maybe judge you and whatever, but the reason as to why we wanted to interview you today was because we know that you do positive things within the community. We do believe in forgiveness, you know. So can you please let us know what you are doing in the communities and and how is it going?
When did you come over? When did you come back?
About 2.5 years ago.
And when did you start doing the community work?
Since the community work inside is transferred outside. Because while I was inside, I was the person like leading the prayers. I was the person educating, not by myself, but the main person, I'm an imam. So the responsibility that laid on me in prison as far as teaching, educating, being a positive role model, it only transferred to the streets. It didn't stop. So I used my voice the same way similar to prison when I was in prison, but among the demographic who I'm most familiar with, which is gang members. One of the reasons I went back into the music industry is because some of the barriers that I faced over here, first returning back as a UK resident and not being over here since I left in 1979. Another thing that was a motivating factor was when I went back to Trinidad, which was last year, because we have a business in Trinidad that my father built. And I wasn't going to come back to this country as a result of the responsibility and accountability that I have to my family. But being newly released, it wasn't enough for me to just stay in Trinidad living a good life. You know, I made a choice to come back here because my job isn't over with. I'm still on a journey of correction, journey of rehabilitation, especially amongst people like me. I currently go into HMP Brixton. I went into Scrubs about 2 weeks ago, HMP ISIS. So I'm continually being a role model for people, individuals who go through the same struggle, who need that role model. And if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be true to myself, you know, at all, because I understand firsthand what they're going through. I understand how to speak to them. And it's just not on a small scale, just dealing with black people or people of Caribbean descent. Because in prison, you encounter everybody. Yes, there's divisions in American prisons as far as racism, but there's also a pathway of learning and rehabilitation that probably 70% of people in prisons take, whether it be self-help groups, coming to the law library, in these schools, et cetera, et cetera. So I've always been an active part and a role model in doing these things. So it's just now that I'm on the street, it doesn't stop. And while I'm here in this country, I'll do it.
And as you can, you know, as you may see on the news here in London, you have a lot of young boys, young girls involved in gun and knife crime. Some of whom are, I think the youngest has been 13, is it? Maybe even younger than that. Would you say that age does definitely have an effect on that in terms of, you know, what these crimes that people are committing? Would you say they are very young people and that's the reason as to why they are committing these crimes? Obviously, we know there's different contributing factors, but would you say age plays a part of it?
Yes, the youthfulness of it is because it's the reward of it. At that age, we don't really have the capability to weigh the consequences from a victim's perspective. So in that lifestyle of a gang member, it's a different lifestyle, similar to if a person's in the military versus somebody that's not. They wouldn't understand the behavior, they wouldn't understand the thought process, they wouldn't understand any of it. Being a gang member with similar behaviors is a criminal lifestyle. So it doesn't matter if it's violence, it doesn't matter what the medium of weapon is, it's usually the reward that comes. It doesn't matter if it's prison, because with that, at that age, you get notoriety. Be like, oh yeah, homie, I went to prison. It's a status that comes along with it, but it's an incorrect status. So the younger your age really isn't a factor, because when you're young, you want to show out, you want to be exposed, you want all the acknowledgement. And that's one of the things that I was made aware of when I got here, especially with the gangs, is they model their gang culture behind California gangs and Los Angeles gangs. You know, and I spoke to a young brother in HMP ISIS, and I actually apologized to him because they were following a pattern that we set, that I set. You know, and it's absolutely wrong, because at 13, I was doing similar things, shooting, spray painting on walls. You know, I address back to something you said, that I speak to my direct victim. From 1982 to 1992, I had multiple victims. So it just wasn't just that one person.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't just one murder then?
It was one murder,
okay, but
my lifestyle, I done hurt a lot of people. You know, and that's one thing that in prison, we have the chance to reflect on. It's just not one crime, it's just not one action. The people who go to prison for that are small. Usually it's a build-up, usually it's a accumulation of prior actions, deviant actions, whether it's talking back to your parents, stealing, it builds.
It builds up,
Yeah, so my victims range from my parents, because I put them through something. You know, my girlfriends, the children that I lost. You know, my victims are, there were too many.
Obviously, we can see that you're remorseful. Some people, you know, unfortunately, not everyone shows remorse, not everyone has empathy, but obviously we can see you have empathy. When did that start for you? Like so when you went to prison, when did you start feeling bad for your actions?
I started feeling bad before I went to jail. before I actually went to prison. It sank in
Yeah, when did it sink in? That's what
probably at my 5th year in prison. Because going into prison during that time, you didn't have time to do too much reflecting on the outside, because inside of prison everything was about life or death, being attentive, adjusting to that environment, empathy and understanding what it is, and taking myself through that probably after like 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And describe your feelings. How was it like? Did you feel shocked? Was you
It was more shame.
emotional?
It was more shame.
Yeah.
Because I knew better. You know better. But that voice, I call that voice for so long, so it's now acknowledging the shame that when I put on my family, because I didn't have to do it. It's the hurt that, as not just the crime, because the crime itself, yes, it was horrific, but leading up to it all, who did I hurt? Whose heart did I break? It was more broken relationships that I had to show empathy for, empathize for. And that's where deep pain and a deep sorrow and those type of feelings come into play.
Have you been able to rekindle any relationships?
100% of them.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good, man. That's nice.
It's a long time. 31 years is a long time to amends. You know, some, I had to take the initiative to breach certain conversations, because when you break certain relationships, you can't wait on the other person to take the foot forward and, about the thing about forgiveness. Forgiveness is about you explaining your part and not expecting the other person to forgive you, because they don't have to.
Yeah.
So sitting in that for a while, those were the motivating factors. But my parents, like my grandmother, things like that, because people didn't expect it from me.
Yeah.
They knew because of my behavior in the streets and the music, and they knew I was on a bad course, but to the extent of me taking a person's life.
And you say you came from a good home. Mum was
Yeah.
in nursing, dad was in what business? He has got his own business, or?
Barber, DJ, event promoter, club owner.
Would you say they were attentive to your needs? I know, in a lot of households, they say, sometimes mum might be working 2 jobs, maybe dad's not around, but maybe dad is around, and again, he's busy. So in this country, it's not easy because everything's about bills and stress. And then by the time you get home, you're absolutely tired. So then you just want to really sort your children out, get in bed. Maybe you might not even have the time to sit down, have dinner, So would you say, did you have that? Like, what would you say? Do you ever think to yourself, okay, maybe if certain changes happened in my family, then this wouldn't have happened to me? Would you ever, no?
I don't have that excuse. Yes, there is a part to where I wish I would have gotten more attention from my father. A different attention from my mother when I came. Different. Not so much that they weren't there, because I don't know poverty. I don't know suffering in that sense.
Okay.
Always had a roof over my head. Always had the best education, activities, parents taking care of the bills, everything that a good household's supposed to do. However, as a child, especially a boy, the connection that possibly could have happened with connection with my father that I wanted, I don't know. Because the things that I said, okay, I want your attention, I want you to say I love you, etc.,
Yeah.
came out in other ways. So I had all.
What were the other ways? So he had a different love language?
Yeah.
Okay. But did you not think that was love at the time then?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah. I
So what was his way? How did he express that he loved you?
He took care of my mom, paid for my education. When I did get in trouble, his way of demonstrating his love, one, wasn't going upside my head all the time. His way of showing love was showing me actually what he's doing business-wise, speaking to me as much as he can speak.
So he would show you how his business is operating.
Yeah.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, because he wasn't a man that received love himself from his parents.
I know it happens. Yeah.
So I found myself asking him or wanting something, and all these things, all these concepts changed while I was in prison. Because here I am asking a grown man to tell me either he loved me or show it when he himself didn't receive
it's
it.
hardest, I know.
You know,
It happens a lot. It's so difficult, isn't it? Like, we all sometimes have arguments with our parents, but it's only when we get older and more mature we understand, okay, my mum, she didn't get that love from her mum, so how can I expect her to show me the love that I want?
Right.
Because she didn't even have that herself. Or, you know, there's so many questions, but I think we always need to remember, and I remember my friend telling me, like, always be observant of your family and how they grew up, because, you know, not that I won't say, like, if there's a mum who was brought up really bad and her mum didn't show her love, I'm not saying then she will then have that same impact on her child, or show her child the same love, because some parents are the complete opposite. Some parents who don't get any love, they're like, no, when I have my child, I'm going to make sure, and that happens as well. But yeah, it's you know, it does happen, isn't it, when parents...
It's a hard juggling act, because we live in a place, UK, America, where the standard of living is moderate to high. And you have parents who want to provide for their children, and they work in hours and they're establishing a business. They can't juggle the same thing at the same time. They do with the best what they have at the time.
Yeah.
You know, some families are different, they range differently, because I have friends who came from a similar background, not parental wise, and they didn't turn out like me.
You see, yeah.
I've known people who went to Ivy League schools, top flight schools, who are worse than me. Okay. Relatively.
Yeah.
So it's touch and go.
It is a touch and go.
It's touch and go, but for me, I don't have any excuses.
No, we appreciate your honesty. Like, you know, some people, they might blame mom, dad, or their situation. So, you know, we appreciate your honesty, and whoever's listening to this interview, I hope you can hear us click. Oh, my battery's just died. But yeah, on Andre's interview, yeah, as I said, there's a lot of knife crime, gun crime that's happening, and we don't even like to speak on this. I was just saying to Annie a few weeks ago, like, I don't want to speak too much about gun and knife crime because it can be so depressing. Like, you know, there's more positive things to speak about. However, I am a mum. I have 2 beautiful children, and you know, it's a scary world. I was saying to my son all the time, I don't want you getting on a bus to school. No, I'm going to drive you to school. He's like, no, mummy, I want to get the bus. Because obviously he's in, in a secondary school. So, but yeah, it's just a really crazy, scary world, you know, and it's not a world that we want to be living in, really.
Sorry, Andre, what are the prisons compared to the British prisons and the... Okay, that's a good question. Please, could you tell us the differences?
The comparison.
Compare them, because you're working in our prisons, but you went to jail over there. So what's the difference?
By comparison, the only similarities are most of the people in the prisons in both places are made up of us. Yeah. American prisons are way high intense, because there are more variables. One thing I notice here in prisons in the UK, they separate you by boroughs. So say if a man from these ends don't get along, they put you in another part of the jail. In America, you don't have that luxury. So you're forced to get along because of other factors, and those other factors are usually racism. That's one. Another thing that I found over here, they let you wear your own clothes. You have some sort of identity. In American prisons, you don't have your own clothes. Those are taken from you as soon as you get to the county jail, and you won't see them again until you leave. The amount of violence in American prisons, everything is a consequence of life and death in American prisons. Wow. Because of this scale of, or the effect of racism. Because it's not so much in problems, meaning black on black or Mexican, Lord, it is. The tinder boxes say if somebody from another race did something, even if it's wrong, if they fight another race, I'm gonna use us black, it doesn't matter at that point. Now it's a racial issue. That's very poignant in American jails, American prisons. It's way different. I don't want to undermine those who are incarcerated in the UK prisons, but it's very different. They have guns in American officers. You get shot, you get killed. They had a thing called Greenwall. And what the officers did, they would pit inmates against each other, you know. So you had those type of corruption.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just different. It was very much different.
Really? What else? What other differences?
Size.
Sizing.
Size as far as one prison can hold it up to 3,000 people.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And in California, you have 30, I think it's 32 now, but you have 34 prisons in California
34 prisons in California.
alone.
Whoa.
That's not a lot. What? Do you think
In
that's a
one
lot?
place?
Well, oh,
One
just
place.
in California.
Yeah, it has most prisons in the world.
Wow.
Difference is,
Which one was you in?
I started off at Wasco, went to Tehachapi State Prison, Centinela State Prison, Calipatria State Prison, Chuckawalla State Prison, and I ended up going to ICE detention.
And that was all in California, so you was all in those Californian prisons
Yes,
all
ma'am.
that time. Whoa.
It's
So-
quite an, I can't honestly say it was all bad. You know, in California prisons in particular, the ability to get a master's or a bachelor's or even a PhD is possible. The possibilities of leaving prison, if you're in certain prisons as a coder, whatever, with higher education is possible. You know, so the opportunities, they're ample.
Would you say-
How hard is it to, so sorry.
It's okay.
How hard is it to get a job though afterwards? I mean, you can be qualified and stuff, but
After you leave prison or while you're
yeah,
inside?
after you've left prison and you've got all your qualifications.
Within the first couple of weeks.
Really? You can get a job within the first couple of weeks?
I thought it would be harder.
No.
And do you think this is the reason as to why a lot of people say, oh, do you know what, they don't mind going to prison? Would you say they kind of have it easy? Because they know that when you're in prison, you, like as you said, you can get educated, some people have TV, you live in quite a decent life, and then when you come out, some of them get accommodation. So would you say this is the reason as to why people will happily go and spend their time in prison?
I don't know about that. No, I wouldn't say that. Because we have to break it down into offender. You have short-term offenders, which could be anywhere from 6 months, say to 5 years. That's not the demographic I'm speaking about, because for a while I wasn't around anybody that got out in a short amount of time. So when we talk about long-term offenders, say 7 years and over, the qualifications that you have, usually because you put in the work, is vocational. So usually when you get out, it's known that long-term offenders, we have a certain work ethic. We bring something different employment-wise, skill-wise, creativity-wise, just gumption-wise to the workforce.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that California in particular capitalizes on. Just like inside, we have a certain work ethic. I worked in, I was doing woodwork, pretty much building the framework for these chairs. There's people who build glasses and things like that. So there are good trades to when you get out, there's no difference even to be a firefighter.
Wow, I didn't
So
know
it's
that.
different, yeah.
So what qualifications did you get in prison?
3 degrees. I have one in social services and human behavior, business administration and management, and general history. I'm a certified life coach, a relationship counselor.
So whilst in prison, you would just have like a tutor come in and give you. Was it like a normal, like a college lesson, basically?
Yeah. You have colleges. You have, depending on what prison, you have different colleges that come in. You know, and it's a accredited course, so it's like you're actually going to college, what they call over here university, because you have professors come in
Yeah,
and
you've
things
got
like
professors
that.
come in, yeah.
It's just about applying yourself. It's about, while in prison, separating yourself from the momentum of prison, because in prison you have everything from corruption, drug, right. But on the other side, you have a plethora of self-help groups, if you take the initiative. In California prison, I don't know if they do it over here, I don't think so. Any person can start a self-help group or any type of group that the inmate or staff population can interact with.
Okay.
So you have that as an incentive, because I started one called Mentoring And it got to the point where Sacramento approved it to where whoever completed the course, they have 6 months off their sentence.
Oh, okay.
So they have different pathways.
How long was the course, sorry?
Average course about 4 months.
4 months.
About 4 months, depending on if the prison ran right. But we have to deal with things like lockdown and things like that.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying something else. What was you saying about the course you were saying before I interrupted you?
The course that's available, or the courses that I took.
You said someone would do the course 4 months, and then that would give them 6 months off.
They'll give them 6 months off.
Yeah.
But you have different programs, at least 30 on any given prison.
Different programs,
right? To where you could get time off if you complete the course, and the course could be anywhere from conflict resolution to learning how to develop creative and conflict skills. It ranges: addiction, gang awareness, Alcohol Anonymous, et cetera, or a person can develop a course on their own, which can benefit the inmate population. So there are pathways for transformation even inside prison in those conditions.
Have you had any issues traveling back to Los Angeles? Are you allowed to?
No.
Until how long?
Want to. I'm good.
Pardon?
I don't want to.
You don't want to?
I'm good.
What is the law on that? So if you wanted to ever go back, are you ever allowed there?
I have to apply to the Attorney General.
Okay.
Yeah, but as it stands, I have a 20-year ban. So if I step foot on American soil, I could go back to federal custody for 20 years or however long it takes them to send me back here.
Well, what was the fact that you're allowed guns in America it's a bit.
I miss it though.
You do miss it, your friends.
Most of my family, I won't say most, but that's where I grew up. That's where I'm most familiar with. There in Trinidad. When I got released and came over here, I felt like a stranger, but I have the ability through life experience to go places and not feel like I'm the only one now. So that wasn't a problem. Thing is coming here with no family.
And for those of you who have just joined, so Andre, was in prison for 31 years in Los Angeles. Where was you born?
Forest Gate.
Forest Gate. Yeah. Okay, so Southeast London, Forest Gate, right?
No, east.
Oh, sorry.
Straight east.
I do apologise. East London. You left London when you was how old?
7.
7 years of age. Went to
America, California, Los Angeles.
Okay, and then when you're 20 years of age, that's when this incident happened? 1992, obviously, okay, it makes sense. And then obviously, then you got, would you say it's deported? That's not the right word, deported back to London, deported?
Deported, kicked out.
Kicked out. Yeah, basically, from Los Angeles.
From America.
Yeah, because you're not in London. Well, we want to thank you really for sharing your story with us, because as I said, it's not about, obviously it is about what you did, because it's really sad on the family, let's be honest. Someone lost their life, and as you said, it's just through complete selfish, you being selfish. However, you have explained you are remorseful. I can sense you are remorseful, and that's what this show is all about, because it is all about doing positive things in the community. So even though what you did isn't positive, but it's about making changes.
Correct.
And you are still making changes, working with people. Have you got any messages for the young people out there who are doing crazy things? What would you say to them?
In this country,
when I say crazy things, wanting to commit murders and.
What would you say?
Our parents didn't come here for this.
That's right.
It's. I was thinking about this earlier on my way here. In America, the African American experience in America is through the transatlantic slave trade, that migration.
Yeah.
Here it's through Windrush, the migration. And our parents came for a reason. And a lot of stuff that we find ourselves that the youth doing, if we took more things into consideration outside of ourselves, we owe our parents more than that. Than trying to exterminate each other, feeding into something else, because this is not the way we live. This isn't culturally, historically, this isn't us. So we've become, similar to me, we've become almost like animal-like, almost like predator-like. And when you don't understand, have that equity about yourself, about your soul, about your legacy, about, you know, things like that, it doesn't even matter. But if I were to sell them that, I'll be like, your parents didn't come over here for that. You owed them more, you know.
They made that
And
sacrifice.
and it's a trap. A lot of where we find ourselves, because it's not that we don't have the ability to fight or be warriors. That's where we come from. But to the point where we're criminalistic and we're killing people, robbing people without second thought, that's not even us. So that's an alien concept. Those are alien behaviors, especially to us. We just do it because everything we do, and that's just a fact, we excel in. And we excelling in violence, we excelling in being assassin, we excelling in things that's not us. You know, so we just need to just take a step back and learn, you know. Not before it becomes too late, because I told a gentleman in ISIS and Scrubs, I said, I'll see you in Belmarsh. Because of your behavior and the way you think, and you think it's still glorified. You know, and I said, it shouldn't, but it took me to sit down in prison for 31 years. But the difference is I'm a living example to people.
Definitely.
That's the difference. You know, so when I open my mouth similar to prison, people tend to listen, especially in the streets. You know, so they just need to kick back. They just need to stop for a minute. Because where we going to find ourselves after the consequences, and now you've given yourself over to the authorities, you've given yourself over to law enforcement in these jurisdictions to lock you up, then you're going to cry, then you're going to complain, then you're going to say it's the white, you're going to, excuses. You don't have to wait till it gets that far. You know, so just wake up. Just slow down enough to wake up.
Would you say that, I know I'm not trying to make excuses, but like I went to attend that presentation a few weeks ago, the Share Maximum presentation, and there was a gentleman who was speaking about the diets of a lot of young people nowadays, like chicken and chips. You know, they're not getting enough sleep. Would you say they're contributing factors? I would say so, because for me personally, if I don't have enough sleep, I'm very moody. When I'm hungry, I'm angry. Can't lie.
100%.
You know, these things are real, right? So would you say that plays a massive part? Being, you know, your poor diet, sleep deprivation.
100%. Bad relationships.
Poverty.
Cost of living.
Yeah.
Inflation.
Too many relationships.
Too many relationships.
Yeah, it's everything is just too much.
Too much.
Yeah, bad food, like you say, sleep deprived. The concoction of drugs.
Yes, that's just literally about to say that. And
Concoction of drugs.
And just on, you know, speaking of which, so weed, for example, I was speaking to my friend about this, and let's be honest, a lot of people like drugs, yeah? Weed, some people have higher drugs than that. But like, weed used to have seeds in it, seeds, right?
Yeah.
Now it's all like these, it used to be Thai weed, right? Now you're getting all these concoctions, what do they call it,
Loud.
Pardon?
Loud, hydro.
I never even heard of
Loud.
that.
Top shelf. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's all like hybrid stuff, and it's like, it's chemicals. People are smoking chemicals, and then you've got the balloons. You see a lot of young people in the street nowadays with these balloons. I'm like, what are you doing to your body? Because I'm not perfect, don't get me wrong, you know, I've had alcohol and a few things, whatever, and occasionally I might have wine and whatever. But what I'm saying is, someone's laughing at me, they're laughing at me. What I'm saying is, right? Don't make me laugh. What I'm saying is, I'm about health and well-being, so I just believe that, okay, if you're going to have a naughty weekend, then obviously you need to exercise, you need to get them toxins out your body, you need to, you know, go to a sauna, whatever. It's all about balance in life, right? Because sometimes it's hard to just be 100% clean and whatever.
True.
So, yeah, the drugs, what is going on with the drugs nowadays?
The drugs, the drink, the mixture, it's a mixture. You know, because everything metabolizes. Anything you ingest metabolizes. On top of certain personalities, certain things just don't mix.
And I just think that not everyone can hack certain drugs as well. Like some people can smoke,
Right.
and they say it helps them to be more creative and they're able to get up and go for a run. I'm like, really? Does it not make you want to sleep?
When it becomes...
Got the mental health, you know?
The mental health, thank you.
Yeah, but when it becomes a crutch or coping, whatever, that's when it takes over. Because now you're thinking as an addict. I remember my first time going into Alcoholics Anonymous. I was the first to be like, I'm not an alcoholic. First one to say, I'm not an alcoholic. I come from a family of alcoholics. My crime wasn't alcohol induced, but I drank every single day.
Oh, okay. See.
So there are a lot of factors that affect a person's psycho, spiritual, whatever, by the things we do.
Of course.
Not really realizing the effect, because if we stuck back and looked at our behaviors, 80% of the things that we do, whether it be crime-based or anything in excess, we wouldn't do it sober.
What age did you start drinking?
Probably 9.
9?
What was it, 40s?
Huh?
40s?
No, because my father owned a club, right? So I would, well, my stroke, don't worry. Yeah. But that's where it starts. That's where everything starts.
Yeah.
Little sneak here.
Yeah, that's
there.
how it starts.
That's how it starts. Then who you're around, gang members, we drink all day. In America, there's a liquor store and a church on every corner. Yeah.
Whilst you're talking, would you like to charge your phone? Because I think your battery died and you don't want to have a contact battery.
So it's too many concoctions. I think
Thank you,
this one
Annie.
on.
Okay. Is it? No, it's still on actually. I
Still
think.
on? Let me see.
Yeah, I think it just paused though.
So there's a lot of drugs, music. Music plays a part.
The language, the people are glorifying, killing mums and
Yeah, it's just too much.
NWA era.
Yeah, because if you think the connection, and that's why.
You was cripping and blooding at that time.
Yeah, and why the company I started, I won't even say country, I want to change the dance hall concept. Because I grew up in dance hall, where everything was reggae, everything was badness, everything was, but I know the impact of music.
Yeah.
80% of us come from musical families, and it's what we say, it's what we represent.
Exactly, yeah.
And the artists play a major role in the ears that listen to it, because if you let something in your ears, just a matter of time, it goes to your mind and goes to your heart. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
because music could change anybody, so that's one of my passions now, is to but change the message in the music and those who project the music.
Yeah. What do you do in terms of we've only got a few minutes left, excuse me. So what do you do in terms of your mental, physical and spiritual well-being? Like for example, for me, I like to go for a run. I just look after myself in general. I love feeling amazing. So what do you do to feel amazing?
Music, my dog. I'm a Muslim, so I pray 5 times. I'm very in tune with my spirituality as a Muslim, and that's been an anchor for me. It's been an anchor for the last 30 plus years, and it's going to remain an anchor for me. So that's what I do for even when I dip, because being out, I'm more triggered out here in this world than I have been in prison, because this world is so different. So that's why another reason I got back into music, because I always found my footing in music.
It's your therapy.
Yeah. If I didn't have music, it'd be problems. Serious problems.
So praying, music. Do you work out? Do you go to the gym? Do you do any form of exercise?
Not as much as I should.
You're going to
Not as much as I should. I box, martial, everything. But it's just one lazy.
Do you eat healthy?
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I'm
I love
most times.
sweets.
Yeah.
For the most part, healthier.
Healthy, yeah.
But you won't catch me on a vegan diet. Nah.
No, I think as long as you implement try to implement vegetables, try and have an alkaline diet. A lot of people's diet can be acidic,
right.
And fizzy drinks, but all this fast food and stuff. I like fast food, but I try my best. For me, it's like maybe once a month I might treat myself to something. But it's what you fancy, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I try because I know what goes in is metabolized, so I try to be as conscientious as possible.
Yeah. No, same. That's what it's all about. It's just being mindful, of what you're eating, what you're listening to, who you're around, the energy that you're around. just really being in tune with everything. There's a lot of distractions out in this world. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. I think there's a lot of things that's not good for us, honestly.
True.
My thing is, I won't be here long. I'm going back to maybe Sierra Leone. I say back there. I wasn't born there, but my dad's from there. So it's about being in the sunshine, having plants around you, the beach, natural, inhaling beautifulness, exhaling beautifulness, and just the sun, the sea, the land, the fruits. I can just go on. I just
can't wait to go back to
there's
Trinidad.
a lot of things that are not good for us, and we really
August, inshallah.
nice, lovely.
August. This place too cold.
It is. It is cold.
And it's strange.
You have to stay sane.
I told my mother that I actually acknowledged and commended her for whatever she had to go through.
Yeah.
The time that she was here,
Yes.
I don't know how she did. I don't know how my dad did it. But I have to honor them for it.
Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, Andre. Our time is up.
Okay.
Thank you so much. A lot of gratitude to you. Thank you for coming
Likewise.
on. We could speak to you forever, but obviously, time is ticking. But I'm sure if anyone's got any questions for Andre, please feel free to comment. When you do see this video, feel free to comment. Can people message you? Can they send you messages and ask you questions? That's fine as well. But again, thank you so much, everyone. This is the Health, Talent and Fashion Show. Sorry, I'm looking down because I'm on Instagram Live. But do you know what? I say this is the Health, Talent and Fashion Show because my show is entitled the Health, Talent and Fashion Show. However, I am the media correspondent for ACYO. ACYO is the African Caribbean Youth Organisation who are doing really amazing things for a lot of the youth out there. Just a lot of things. Just check it out, guys. If you go on the Instagram, go on the website, African Caribbean Youth Organisation.org. Is it .org? .info. I do apologise. Check that out as well. We just, as mothers, fathers, parents, we're just trying to really have a positive impact on what's going on today. It's crazy. We know what's going on, so we need to try and change things. And if you would like to get involved with any of the works that African Caribbean Youth Organisation are doing, please do feel free to get in touch because we all need to work as a collective. It's all about teamwork, but teamwork makes the dream work.
Hey.
Charlene Francois here, everyone. Look after yourself and always remember to look after your barnet.
Look after your barnet.
See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.